Hey guys, it's Coach Fro from RocioFlores.com, and today's topic is 5 ways to connect with strangers. I think that this is a really important topic because we come around strangers all the time, right? And we want to have connections, and we are built for connection, and yet somehow it's kind of hard. Like a lot of the times it's really hard to talk to strangers, whether it's on the street or at a new place that you're going, or if it's somebody who you eventually would like to be a friend. They all start out as strangers at some point. So how do you connect with people that you don't know? In this video, I want to just go over 5 ways to connect with people and 5 things that you should be thinking about when you're connecting with people so that you can actually make good connections. Before I begin, I want to invite you to subscribe to my monthly newsletter. There I share the month's blog posts. I talk a little bit about what I've been going through in my own life and how what I learned can help you with your own personal journey. I also send you a ton of health, career, and personal development freebies. The link will be in the description below, so make sure that you get on there. The first and the most obvious thing to do is to look for people. So if you aren't around people, there's a good chance you're not going to be talking to them, right? You know, you want to actually be out and about somewhere and look for people to connect with. So you have to look for the strangers in your life. And I think this is harder for some people than others. I've noticed since moving from a big city to a small town that in the big city, there were tons of people around us, like all over the place, everywhere. We didn't ever really talk to them. You know, it wasn't really something in our mind to connect with people randomly walking down the street. In a small town, on the other hand, people say hi to everyone. It doesn't matter if you know them or not. If you ever see them again, they're like, hi, have a good day. And so that was a really big shift for me. And I think for a lot of us, you know, we have to change our mind when it comes to what a stranger is. We have to think about the fact that this is a person, that is a human being. That's a person that you could be connecting with. You don't know what that future holds. You don't know what your purpose was for them being in your life, or you being in their life. And you can't find out unless you actually find them, right? So you have to go out and look for people to connect with. And this can be very simple as when you go into the store, there's a cash register, there's a person there. When you walk down the street, there's a guy walking right next to you. If you go to school, there's probably 30 to 200 people, depending on how many people are in your class, right there in that room with you. Your teachers, your instructors, your churchgoers, people that you work with, customers. All of these are just people to connect with. And, you know, for those of us who are, you know, probably home a little bit too much and are online most of the time, you literally have the entire world at your fingertips. Those are all strangers. They're all people. You know, and as long as you can discern, you know, a bot from a real person, you can find a ton of people to connect with. The second thing that I think is important to do, and that I think is probably the step that most of us are skipping. Look at them. Look at people. So you recognize, okay, so today I'm going to go to the store, and I'm going to go shopping, and I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to go to work, and then I'm going to come home from work, and I'm going to pick up my kids, and then I'll go home. Okay, in that time frame, you probably came across a ton of people. You know, the cash register, other shoppers, people at your job, customers, people at your school, teachers, kids in the hallway. You probably, when you picked up your kid, you saw people, other parents there, other kids, those daycare people. You probably saw people when you were driving. That's a lot of people to look at. Actually look them in the eye and acknowledge their existence. I think that one was the hardest for me, because I was always taught that, like, you're supposed to look people in the eyes when you're trying to have a conversation with them, when you're in a position of authority, right? So like you're talking to somebody who's a person of authority, you want to look them in the eye, in interviews, etc. But people don't really talk about looking people in the eye when you're not engaging with them. And so what happens is we can go an entire day without looking at somebody, and we can go an entire day without being looked at, without anybody looking at us in our eyes and connecting with us and like acknowledging that we exist. I've been reading this really cool book, and one of the things that he talks about is, you know, it's a novel, like an old Alice novel, but the guy was talking about how, you know, sometimes he actually doubts his existence, because when he wants to get away from the world, he goes out into the crowds and he says, you know, I don't know if people are looking at me. I don't know if I'm just lost in the fog, if anybody exists, if anybody realizes that I exist. It's his place to escape. And I think that happens for a lot of us. You know, we just disconnect we isolate, and it doesn't matter if you're around people or not, because it has to do with the fact that you're not making a conscious choice to connect with people. And so we have to sort of do the opposite and be like, I'm going to make a conscious choice to look at people. The third thing to do is to say something. It can be anything. You don't have to go into a huge discussion about the meaning of life or anything like that's politically not going to turn out well. You could just say hi. And especially with strangers, just saying hello is such a big deal. You never know what someone's going through. You never know what they're experiencing on a daily basis, what they've been struggling with. When was the last time they had a conversation with somebody? When was the last time that they genuinely felt that somebody connected with them? And sometimes all it takes is a hello to completely change someone's face. And it begins with a simple hello in order to get to a place where you're talking about your deepest, darkest secrets. You have to begin somewhere, and it can be simple. Just say hi. How's your day going? Something simple like that. I personally struggle a lot with this because for me, growing up in a big city, it was really easy to not say anything to anyone. You go into the cash register and be like, do your transactions, whatever, and then you walk away. And didn't say hello, didn't say goodbye, didn't ask them how their day's going, didn't even make any conversation around the actual transaction. It's almost all nonverbal. And it was very easy for me because it's really easy for me to be nonverbal. But I realized then that, I'm not connecting with anyone. I've struggled a lot with this concept of not being able to connect with people. And so since the first thing that I started to do, since trying to connect with people, trying to change that about myself and work on this issue, is to just make a decision, very simple decision, to say something to every cash register. Every person, every time I go out at the store, it's just hi, and then be like, how's your day going? And in the beginning it was actually really hard because I was like, I'm like those people, you've seen those memes where people are at the popcorn at the movies, they're like, enjoy your movie, thanks, you too, and then you're like, oh my god, I feel so awkward, and that happens. But you're not going to get good at it unless you do it, and you can't do it unless you do it, right? So you have to just start somewhere. You have to just say hi. I remember starting, sometimes you just nod at people, but then you slowly build up to that hello, and then hi, how are you? And then, hey, how's your day going? How have you been? This is a nice weekend. And then you start small, and then, I know there's a lot of negative connotations surrounding the concept of small talk, but it starts with small talk and you build on it. You can get to a place where you can have these deep conversations with people, but you probably won't if you don't acknowledge them and say hello. So start there. The fourth thing that I think is where we really mess up is we don't listen and we don't remember what we're told. So, if you're treating transactions as a checkoff list, if you're treating things as something that doesn't really matter, and let's just be honest, if it doesn't really matter to you, you're not going to build relationships. You're not going to make friends. You're not going to meet new people because people don't feel cared for. You have to remember what they said to you. You have to remember them. You have to remember the things that are important about them. You have to remember the things that they would remember about themselves, because that's what friendship is. How weird would it be if you had your best friend, long best friends since you were little kids, and every single time you guys talked, they had to, you had to remind them everything about you, everything that's important. Wouldn't you feel uncared for? And you would feel like, oh, this person doesn't care. They never listen. They never, they don't add anything to the relationship because they can't. How can you add when you don't have a base? You have to build that base. That's on you. That is 100% something that you get to choose to do in your relationships. You get to decide, this is important about this person. I'm going to put it in the box of things that are important about them, the things that are who they are. It's your choice to remember them. And that means that if you walk into a store and you met a new person, maybe the first you're just saying hello, but the next time you have to remember, I said hello to this person last time. I connected with them last time. I have to connect with them again. I can't just ignore them this time. And then you slowly build up. You can get to know their name. You get to know a little bit about them. You get to know their schedule. You get to know, don't be creepy, but you get to have a connection with them to get to a place where they know who you are and you know who they are. And then you have a new friend. You have a new acquaintance. You have a new person in your life. And this does take time. So it's not like you have to try and hey man, like tell me what your name is, your social security number, how many kids you have, what's your grandmother's last name. You know, you don't want to be creepy. Just remember what they do say. Remember their face, remember their characteristics, remember their smile. Did they look upset that day? You know, were they overly busy? Were they struggling with something? Were they happy? Did they seem excited? Are they somebody who just has really high energy? Are they somebody who's just kind of chill all the time? You know, just start to know things about them and remember those things. And last but not least, follow up. Very simple. In sales, it's something that you're taught a lot to follow up with people. But a lot of the times we forget to follow up when there's no, benefit for us. So, unless it's gonna hurt us or unless it's going to benefit us, we tend to just be like, it'll be fine. We don't think twice about, hey, I haven't talked to this person in a while. Hey, I haven't gone to go see this person in a while. I haven't checked in on them. I haven't asked them a new question. I haven't tried to know them more. And so what could build as a relationship stays stagnant, right? And so it's very easy to just kind of be like a nod buddy with somebody. What's up, man? That's it. You never say anything else, and they are never anything else for you. And so there's never that connection, and there's never that growth. And here's the thing. As much as you want to say, well, they're not doing it, it's not about them. It's about you. You have to make the decision to connect with others. And it's hard. It's not easy. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes energy. It might be difficult for many reasons. Like you might just have a natural resistance towards it. You might have a resistance because you have really bad experiences. You might just struggle with it because there's tons of reasons to struggle with it, right? But you have to choose to do it if you want it. If you want to connect with people, it's a choice that you have to make. And it doesn't mean that it'll be easy, but you have to do it. And so if you're remembering who they are, you got to remember to follow up and just continue to keep that relationship going. Eventually, they'll do that for you too, once they are on that same plane of thought as you are. But you can't put it on them in the beginning. You have to be willing to put it yourself. You make the decision. So hopefully this helps you just a little bit. It seems like it should be simple, but it's not, right? It's simple but not easy. It's a little, it's not incredibly complex to connect with people, but it can be difficult and very, very difficult for people who just struggle with it, people who are not used to it, or people who have a lot of negative emotions towards it. But the only way to change that is to do it. So look for people to connect with, look at them, then say something like, hello, remember who they are, and follow up and keep growing the relationship. Hopefully this is helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it useful, please like it, comment, react, subscribe, text, email, whatever it is that you do online. Thank you and have a blessed day. Goodbye.